Me and a buddy of mine got into a debate today about how Oblivion, or rather Bethesda, is handling its Oblivion remastered support, which is it's non-existent. That's that's the truth. That's not me throwing shade or taking any shots at Bethesda. That's literally what it is. The support for Oblivion Remastered is non-existent, doesn't exist. I'm not saying that they're not working on things behind the scenes. In fact, it was confirmed, at least through a pretty good source, that Bethesda is working on support for Oblivion Remastered. But I mean, like, as it's been over a month now, as of today. What it's today? I just looked at it earlier. It's the 28th of May, 2025. And it's been over a month. I think it's been 36 days. I sent my friend a text message, and this is pretty much what started all of it. I think he got annoyed because I keep texting him from time to time, with updates on how they're not updating the game, with updates about no updates. So yeah, it's been 36 days since Oblivion Remastered's release, and zero patches, zero support. And once again, I've said this in my last little video or podcast, whatever you want to call it. I've said that other games under the Bethesda umbrella, right, as well as other companies like Obsidian and id. I think id is part of the Bethesda banner. If not, then I don't know what their deal is, but I do know that it made Doom not only Doom Eternal, but what's that new one? Dark Ages. And I don't know, they're in cahoots with Bethesda, whatever. Point is, all these other games got, day one patches or at least week one patches, but Oblivion Remastered got zero support, and it's been over a month now. That's why it's this is baffling to me. And like I said in my last video, one of my friend, the same guy that I'm talking about now that I had a little debate with, and I'll tell you about it more in a second. He told me that, oh well, what they're doing is basically just figuring out all of the kinks of the work that they need to do, all of the bugs, glitches, crashing, lagging, memory leaks, all that. Because it's like, digital whack-a-mole. Every time they try to fix a problem, another one pops up. And I'm like, I can understand that, but like that's not the case in literally every other game that has come out from Bethesda or Obsidian or id in this case. All these other games that they have had day one patches or week one patches. So like that kind of renders his argument, what's the word I'm looking for here? Obsolete, I guess. It's useless. It's futile that, you know, that a defense like, oh, well, they're just taking their time because they want to make sure they get it right. And it's like, yeah, I understand that, but like, what about their other games? They obviously didn't take their time if they had day one patches or week one patches. But anyways, the argument, or I'm not even gonna say argument because that's not what it was. That sounds like when you say argument, I think of two people shouting at each other, and we were just texting each other. It wasn't even like a that'd be weird. But his thing was that, he's like, I shouldn't sit around and wait for a magical fix from Bethesda or any other big company because I should be taking matters into my own hands by downloading mods and doing some configurations in my PC and updating my BIOS. This is all that he said, and I'm trying to explain to him that it's like this game is so fucked up. It's so badly optimized. Oblivion Remastered. That's the game I'm talking about. That there's no configuration on my end that can fix it. And also, why do I have to resort to adding mods or updating my BIOS? I mean, of course, that's something I should do anyway. And by the way, my BIOS is pretty much updated. I think the last time was like 2023 or something like that, which is not that old. So I really feel like I shouldn't be updating that. Anyway, I heard people have gotten more problems from updating their BIOS. Plus, mine's is not that old. So BIOS aside, I don't think that's the issue. Um, Now, I don't know if he was just cranky. Maybe he doesn't get enough sleep. This dude's fucking schedule's all over the place. I worry for him because it's like, he's up all night long, sometimes sleeps during the day and vice versa. And then, then it's like 2 hours of sleep, then it's no hours, then it's five, then it's 12 hours of sleep. It's like this dude's just living on the edge, man. And he's older. He's an older guy, older than I am, and I worry for him. But maybe he was just cranky, but I don't think he was taking console gamers into consideration, right? Because his defense was basically like, oh, whenever a game doesn't work for me, I end up taking matters into my own hands and getting mods and doing some configurations. And I'm just like, I don't think he's understanding that like we shouldn't be doing that. I shouldn't have to go and jump through hoops to get a game to work. That should happen automatically. Like that's literally the number one thing a game should do is work. It should be able to run and running well. I mean, preferably. It's a shame that a game running well today is like optional, right? Like it's like, oh yeah, this game, it could run. You can buy it today. It may run like shit, but guess what? You just made an investment because in a few months it'll be running great. Stalker 2, I'm fucking looking at you. Um, Once again, Stalker 2 is a weird example, and I've said this before because they were in the middle, Ukraine's in the middle of a fucking war, and somehow this Ukrainian video game studio managed to create a game in the middle of the chaos. That's wild. So they get sort of a pass. And also, look, I will say this about Oblivion Remastered, right? It's two fucking game engines on top of each other, right? Like, it's Unreal Engine 5, if I'm not mistaken, and then that other fucking Game Embryo, is that what it's called? I forgot. It's the old Oblivion or the old Bethesda engine that they used to create Oblivion in, and I'm gonna say it's Embryo or something like that. But anyways, it's whatever the fuck it's called. It's two engines in one. That's a complex beast, right? And the fact that Fallout 3 is more than likely going to be created with the same Frankenstein recipe that they used for Oblivion Remastered. I'm worried, right? This could be a good thing and a bad thing, right? It could be a good thing because they can learn from all of the mistakes that they've done with Oblivion Remastered on Fallout 3 and kind of apply those. And so when Fallout 3 Remastered's launch comes out, it'll be less disastrous, right? Less optimization issues. That's the good. The bad could be that they never quite get to find how this truly works, and even this unholy marriage of an old engine and a new engine. Like, I don't know if this is something they can ever fully patch, and that's only because, like, I think of Stalker 2, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Stalker 2 uses the Unreal 5 engine, and Oblivion Remastered uses the Unreal 5 engine. And Stalker 2 has received numerous patches since launch, huge patches at that too, right? And it still runs terribly. The last couple of weeks that I played it, I mean, sorry, I played it a few weeks ago, and it was running like hot dog shit. And it's a shame because I really wanted to finish the game. I was really enjoying it, but it was not cooperating. So yeah, they've been updated. Stalker 2 has been updated repeatedly and it's still not running well. So what does that say about Oblivion Remastered that's using the same engine, right? Will they ever figure this beast out? It's interesting to find out, right? Because it's been 36 days since any update at all, and that's looking at their pattern. Even though Starfield's updates were far and few in between, they still came out and they were still, you know, sprinkled throughout the year of its release. So maybe they're having a really fucking hard time. I'm not necessarily upset. Like I wasn't upset that I spent $65 on Stalker 2. It sucks. I'm not happy about it, but I'm also not upset. I'm kind of just like, damn, that goes to show me like, I better really stop buying games on day one. Like I think it's safe to say that Stalker 2 might be the last game I ever buy full price, unless that full price happens to be something that's affordable, which is to me it's like, $40. something along those lines. I'll be like, okay, I could drop $40 on this game, no problem. Maybe an indie title or something like that. But because modern day games aren't going to be $40 ever again, ever. Unless they're on sale or they're a little older, or you got some weird discount from like a back alley uh, Steam key shop, which I love, by the way. I got so many fucking games from my library from like Aniba, or shout out to Aniba. That's my favorite site. And CD Keys, and what is it, Kingwin and Green Man Gaming, and what's that other one? G2A. That's a classic one right there. So yeah, all these are awesome. They're awesome that I know it's a gray area. Some people are just like, nah, they're not awesome. You're not really supporting the developer by doing that. And I don't know. It's just cool that you're able to get bang for your buck, and you're still obtaining the game legally, right? Which is more than I can say about the people who download games illegally. Listen, I've done my share of downloading games illegally. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm above it, but you know, I'm not done with buying video games. And what I'm saying is, if I ever downloaded an illegal game, that doesn't mean that that's all I'm going to do. It's just download illegal games from this moment forward. Of course, I'm going to be spending money on games. I'm just not going to be spending money on games that come out on day one. And Stalker 2 kind of put that in my head. Like, now I got to be very cautious about my money. And once again, I understand Stalker 2's situation with the war and everything going on. They get a pass. Maybe that's why I'm not so upset. I haven't really thought about it, but it's just, I don't know. With me, money's money. I know that sounds like some rich man shit, and let me tell you something. Let me make something very fucking clear. I am far from rich. All right, I'm doing all right, meaning that, like, I work and I save my money, because my hourly wage is not that great, dude. Especially in 2025, man. But I'm just really good with my money. That's the reason I'm able to stay afloat. And I live very simply. I live like a fucking cat. You know how cats are like minimal um, maintenance. I'm minimal maintenance. I think fucking most men are. Uh, Not all. Some are real prissy. Um, what the fuck am I talking about? Oh yeah. So uh, I get into this debate, and I'm trying to tell them, like, console gamers, right? This is something that I've read. I think I read this somewhere, or maybe I read something and it sparked this thought in my head, like, I'm no longer a console gamer, but I used to be. I was a console gamer all my life. I've only been a PC player for the last few years. So I was just thinking, like, I don't think my friend understood that console players don't have much of a choice. They don't have the advanced options that PC players have, that they can fiddle around with. They don't they can't update their BIOS, they don't have mods that can cover optimization issues and give your game quality of life solutions. They don't have that. They just have to sit there and wait for a patch or an update from the official developer. And that's the only choice they got. And I was just thinking, like, I thought of Fallout 76. I didn't pay full price for it, thank God, at least in release. I ended up getting it on sale. I remember it was I think, now that I think about it, I never really thought about it to this very moment, that I think it might have been the most broken game I've ever played in my life. Like, it kept crashing. I remember it was just graphical glitches. I think I might have fell through the floor. My brain says I did, but I can't fully remember. Got like a hazy memory of that, because that has happened in other games. I mean, who hasn't played a game where they just fall through the world? Especially if it's a Bethesda game. But anyways, I just fell through the world recently in Cyberpunk. As a matter of fact, that shit was freaky. But it was cool. I lived. No, I didn't live. I died and I had to restart. But where was I going with this? So console gamers, what other choice do they have? And I don't think my friend understood that, right? Because he was just thinking about himself, right? Which he does all the time. But I mean, he's self-proclaimed selfish. He said it himself, but I'm only giving you some background on him because, I love the guy, but he does have his faults, his flaws. Uh, I think that's like a quality very smart people have. Like he's a brilliant guy. He really is. He's seasoned. He knows his shit. Very smart. But the quality that I see with people like this is that they can be unreasonably stubborn. You know what I mean? Like that's like a quality they all share. It's almost like a stereotype, right? Like a brilliant man just being stubborn. Um, when in his case, he didn't take into account when we were talking about how, to him it's like it's up to the player to make the game better. They shouldn't sit around and wait for these companies. And I'm just like, that's not a good view, for many reasons. Like let's take that out of context, right? Imagine if you, and I've said this before, imagine if you bought something like like software or hardware from, I don't know, Micro Center or Best Buy or whatever chosen hardware, not hardware, tech store you decide to go to. It's funny because hardware can be a like Home Depot and it can be a tech store at the same time, right? So you want support for it. It isn't. He calls it. You shouldn't wait around for this magical fix. It's not a magical fix. It's called support. Support is not magical. It's mandatory when you buy a product. So I don't understand why he's making it seem like it's a privilege. Like we should wait for this. You should wait for the king to throw rice at his peasants. You know what I mean? Like no, that's not the way it goes. And I think he's having a hard time realizing that. So he didn't take into account console players. I would say that I'm way more understanding than the average player when it comes to these games. This is why I continue to plow through and brave through and power through Oblivion remastered as well as Stalker 2, right? Especially in situations where the average person would have gave up. So like I feel like my word carries weight when it comes like if you know me personally, I'm a lot of things. I'm a goofball. Yeah, sure, sometimes I could be stubborn, sometimes I could be mean, sometimes I could be distant. Sometimes I could be highly opinionated. There's a lot of negative traits that I have. I won't deny it, right? But one thing you can't call me is a fucking liar. You can't call me that. You know what I mean? Because I work really, really hard to preserve that and I do a great job. So, like, when I tell my friends and I tell people, like, hey, man, I played this game and it sucks. Like, that is more of a statement than an opinion. And I'm not just saying that because I'm that sounded kind of cocky, and it sounds like I'm fucking special, but I'm just saying that I already know that 9 times out of 10, when I give you an opinion about something, I've thoroughly vetted it. Like I've thoroughly checked it. I didn't play it for an hour. And in this case, we're talking about video games, but I also mean in general. But let's stick to video games in this particular case. If I tell you a video game sucks, I didn't play it for an hour or two. I played it for quite a while. I did my research on it. I fucked around with different settings. I, took notes in my head, like what kind of game is this? Like, what is this game similar to? What other game, or what are some mechanics it can use? Like, I'm asking myself this shit like I'm a professional fucking reviewer. You would think I was getting paid for this, but this is just what I do for a living because my brain is twisted and I have a lot of time. Especially now, by the way. I don't like to put my personal business out there, but I did mention something in a video, my last video, where I said, right now I'm in transitioning between jobs. No, that's not a fancy way of saying I lost my job. You know what I mean? I still have a job. I just don't work as much. I only work a few days a week, and I'm gonna transition to a full-time job soon. I'm just waiting on this lady to call me and give me the official day. She notified my current job. I don't know why I keep saying previous, like I got fired or I left. She notified my current job and she said she was going to call me this week. It's just taking a little longer than usual. But I understand it's Memorial Day. Some people probably are still on vacay and that's cool, but I just hope she calls me this week because I'm ready to fucking move on with my life. It's been months I've been looking for a new job. It's a big reason why I haven't been posting as many videos. Excuse me. It's because a lot of shit's been going on in my personal life. Not crazy shit. It's manageable. I can still make videos and stuff. I don't want to sound dramatic. I'm just saying that, like, I'm transitioning between jobs right now, and also, it's kind of hard, right? Because like that's my main source of income, my current job. just like many people in America and the world, Uh, and I can't move on with my life until I find this stable job, right? Because the job that I have now is not stable. I mean, it's stable in the sense that I'm not going anywhere and they're not getting rid of me. If I want to stay there for another year or two, I can. I just don't. And I want to be able to get my new job and get settled in and then start making plans for vacations. And me and my girlfriend, we talk about it all the time. We uh we want to go on a vacay, man, bad. And I can't because I'm right in the middle of this transition period. So it's like I not only not only can we not go when I find this job, when I the job is found, I'm just waiting to start. It's just now I have to do the probation, right? Probation can be up to 6 months for this particular place that I'm working in. In case you're wondering, I'm a drug dealer. No, I'm joking. I'm not. I work at a hospital. Uh, and what the hell is that? I heard somebody moaning. So yeah, yeah. I just want to get settled in, break in this new job, and then go bang. I could start making trips with my girl again. I miss going out. I miss being fat. Me and her are always like working out. Not always working out. That makes me sound like I'm fucking super healthy. I'm not as healthy as you think I am. Uh, I only work out like 4 days a week. And it's not even that hard. It's like 20-minute workouts, 30 minutes workouts. I don't go nuts. But I try to I eat relatively healthy. I don't really drink sugary drinks. Um What is it with this slamming, dude? I had this terrible experience a couple of months ago with this one neighbor. I had to move out. I had to leave. It was the first time I ever broke a lease. Not a that was a scary moment. The dude ended up breaking in my house when I left. It was fucking crazy, man. But anyways, I'm hearing this new people, I guess, that moved in. They're making as much racket as that guy. Damn near it, at least. So yeah, there's a lot going on in my personal life. A big reason why I haven't been posting like that. But right now, I'm just waiting. Trying to be patient, and eventually, I'll be able to establish more of a better schedule when it comes to these videos. Um, I'm still waiting. I wouldn't say I'm not one of those guys that quickly writes off people or companies. In this case, Bethesda, just because they floundered or they made a mistake. That's another thing I pride myself on, which is like giving people second chances, sometimes even third chances. Um, with pretty much everything. That's the way I am, like generally speaking. But I still think Bethesda is a great studio. I just don't think Bethesda is the studio of old, right? And that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's the eye of the beholder, right? Like when I look at Bethesda and when I think about Bethesda and all of their work, all of their beautiful, monumental, iconic games like the Elder Scrolls series, I think a lot of that is it's heavily laced with nostalgia. It's nostalgia embedded in my thoughts and in my words when I speak about these beautiful games, like and also the Fallout series, at least starting from Fallout 3. And I start to think like maybe I'm looking at the good old days a little too much and I need to focus more on Bethesda of today, which I'm not as big of a fan as of the new Bethesda as I was with the old Bethesda. And that sounds sounds mean, but I don't mean it that way. I don't mean once again, it's not a thing. I'm not trying to throw shade. Not like they would hear me out anyway. I'm just a tiny voice in the very I'm a tiny quiet voice in the very vocal YouTube. So like no one's gonna listen to me, but I'm just saying that it just seems to me like Bethesda was just I think they might have lost their magic. That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't say all of it. There's still like Starfield, for example, right? Starfield was a good game, but it did not. It stood on the shoulders of giants, right? Like I had big shoes to fill. I don't know if that first metaphor was the right metaphor I should have used, but the second one is the right one, which is it had big shoes to fill, and that is like it didn't fulfill that. no pun intended, didn't fulfill that role. I believe it fell flat. It was a bland game overall. Although, but it wasn't a completely bad game. It had its merits. It had its strengths. The combat was pretty damn good. Exploration was pretty good, although very monotonous. Uh, it went on for a little too long. If you're the type of guy to like to explore and do all of the side quests, for me, it kind of ran a little bit too much. I felt like that with Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. I played that game for 4 months straight, if I'm not mistaken, 4 months, and I pretty much did almost everything you can do on that game, right? Which is just a lot of exploration, all of the quests, fulfilled all of the maps, and what the hell's going on down there? And a lot of it has to do with me, right? It's I overplayed the game. You know what I mean? Like I went a little too hard. So, anyways, that's what I felt with Starfield. Starfield, I went a little too hard, and after a while, I burned myself out, and I was like, I can't. I dropped like almost 300 hours in Starfield, which to some people, it's like those are baby numbers. And if you're one of those people, for the love of God, touch grass or touch ass. Do both, preferably. But I know 300 hours for some people is baby numbers, but that isn't way more than enough time for you to look at a game and play a game and go like I understand pretty much everything about this game at this point. Um, just recently I dropped like 260 hours on Kingdom Come Deliverance. I enjoyed the shit out of that game. I'm hearing good things about this Tainted Avalon. What is it called? Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon. I think that's the game. I'm hearing they're saying that it captured this magic that Bethesda used to have. I would like to see that for myself. But yeah, I wouldn't say that Bethesda is over with or they're through. I'm just saying they're a new studio. You need to focus on the new Bethesda. That's what at least I tell myself in my brain. The old Bethesda is, I wouldn't say dead. I would just say dormant because every now and then, like you'll get hints of the old Bethesda, even if it's rehashes or remasters of their older games. I do hope that in the next Elder Scrolls they capture that magic and stop focusing so much on trying not to offend people by adding bland gameplay, and don't be afraid to use gore just because some people may not like it. Like it's okay. People bleed when they get hit. That's a thing. And don't get too much into political. And this goes for any studio. Don't get too much into the political sphere. Don't pander to your side. Don't add things and as in like don't add certain political hot points into your games just to check off this proverbial checklist. And I'm speaking very vague right now because I don't feel like getting into this whole DEI stuff that's running rampant in games. uh I will say that I still like Bethesda and I still think that they can make good games. But what I am saying also is that I don't know if they can make the games that they used to. I think most of that magic is gone. I think that's the takeaway of what I'm trying to say here. I wouldn't say that the magic is gone. I did say that, but I'm saying let me rephrase that. The magic is mostly gone. I do believe they still have it. It's in there somewhere. It's dormant, but it hasn't been really fully released in these last few game releases that they had, in my opinion. But either way you put it, I'm still a fan and I'm still waiting and I'm still gonna buy Elder Scrolls 6, whatever the hell it's gonna be called, and whenever the hell it drops, probably when I'm an older man. I was gonna say old man, but I'm already there, man. I'm and I'm curious to see how this Fallout 3 remaster is gonna play out. It's I hope it's nothing like the Oblivion remaster because that's been pretty crappy. Um, and of course, I'm sure I would have had a better experience if I would have had like a crazy rig. But that's a argument that there's no definitive answer to that argument, right? Because if my PC not only if my PC surpasses the recommended specs, I shouldn't have any issues in this game. That's the way I feel about every game. I look at the recommended specs and I understand they're more of a guideline than an actual law. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not concrete. Just because you have the recommended specs doesn't necessarily mean that your computer will run it well, but it is a good guideline. It is a good base to start off with. And my PC surpasses the recommendations for Oblivion Remastered. Um, I'm still here, man. Yeah, sure, I'm frustrated. Maybe not as frustrated as those guys going off in the comments, man. Some of them can be flat out disrespectful, man. Keep it cool, yo. Like, I understand that you think that, like, in this age of the internet where you can just write something, you can just be highly disrespectful and then you can just pass it off as trolling or, you know, it's just the internet, bro. Chill. I get it, bro. I get it. I understand, and I am chill. I don't report you guys. I don't write emails to you. I don't write personal. I don't write nothing to nobody on the internet. I don't go back and forth with anybody. Not even in my own videos. I don't do those. You do it. You can go into the comments and call me a racist and all this shit. You can do whatever you want. I'm not going to respond. I will not feed the trolls. That's the last thing I ever want to do. I wish more people follow that. But we're living in strange times, man. Where things live and die by the reputation on the internet. Wild. Anyways, long story short, Bethesda, in my eyes, they're down, but they're not out. I want to see what they got in store, and I will continue to be a fan, at least for the foreseeable future. After this Elder Scrolls 6, if this is a disaster, man, I think we're done, guys. I think we need to pack it up and say our goodbyes to God Howard. See you guys.